Well, good evening, folks. How's everybody doing tonight here at the Sheraton? Thank y'all for being here for another edition of SU Football Weekly. Wanted to make sure everybody can hear us tonight as well. You guys in the corner can hear us okay? Awesome. Well, welcome. It is week number 3. You know, Southwestern really, though, only one game so far as we enter week number 3 as we – of course, last week, coming off of a bye week, so not a whole lot that you can really chat about last week. But the week before that, of course, a 47-7 victory versus Sewanee on the road in Tennessee. We had the coaches show last week. How many were here last week? Can we give a round of applause to those that have been here last week? And I was nervous because before we came on a while ago, I said, I don't see Roger Chappell, but I heard he was over there. So that
he's at the bar.
I was nervous because that would have been like a 28, streak that he had not been here.
It is 29. He's in the building.
So thank goodness for that. We don't need any type of, entering conference play things to go on. So we're glad that Roger's here tonight. 1-0 record for Southwestern Conference play, of course, starting this Saturday versus Louisiana College here in Georgetown. Coach, how was the bye week? We'll start with that. We don't have a game to talk about last week.
Well, last week we had a lot of weather issues, so I guess it was a good time of year for that to happen. This week the weather's been better. It's and it worked out great. We have lightning right now. If we were out today, we'd have a lightning delay, I'm sure. But the week's been good. Our defense, I think, has practiced exceptionally well. Our offense better on Tuesday than Wednesday, but I think we're pacing well. We certainly have had enough time to learn about Louisiana College and get ready to play them. So I think we'll be in good shape for Saturday.
Well, Coach, we talked a little bit about this last week. The bye week coming very early this season. You play one non-conference game to start the season, and then the bye week. How does that affect the team overall, and would you rather have that later on in the season or just get it out of the way and keep rolling?
Well, I think almost every coach would want to have it a little bit later in the year. You play half your games or close to half your games and then have that week off to recuperate and get away from football, both the players and coaches, and to have some downtime. But you'll take it whenever you can get it. We certainly had our share of injuries that we're working through and working on. We have a lot of young players on offense that are playing, new starters, new guys who are too deep, so they get extra practice time. So I think we're definitely doing a good job of making the most of it. We'd rather it would be later, but this year and next year it's going to be in our second week, and I think we did a good job of managing it and making the most of it.
As we continue here with Coach Joe Austin on SU Football Weekly with head coach Joe Austin, it's crazy to think conference play is already here. You go through the one game, of course, in college football. You don't get to scrimmage anybody, so you can kind of look at the Sewanee game maybe as a scrimmage. That's the first time you're really able to hit somebody besides your own player. The guy's able to hit themselves before they go out and play another team. Your thoughts on this upcoming season, Coach, as we enter conference play?
Well, we've played in a long time for only one game. We had our training camp into the first couple weeks of the school year, then the one game, then the bye week. So we've had a lot of practices and not many games. So hopefully the front loading of our practice schedule will pay dividends. As I just mentioned, a lot of newer faces on offense. But we're also starting 2 freshmen on defense. So the fact that they get extra practices and the bye week came early for them, I think it ended up being good. As we're looking at the season, we're like, oh, man, we're going to have to play 9 straight conference games. And there will be a grind as we go through, but I think we're doing a good job of maximizing what we can get out of the bye week being in the second week of the season.
Well, an open-ended question here, really. It's hard, really after one game, but your assessment so far of this team, I know that it was 2 weeks ago before we played, but just your quick assessment as we really get started in conference play.
I think our defense is going to be really strong. We have so many guys back. We've got 9 or 10 starters from last year's team, and we've got 2 freshmen that have stepped up and have moved into starting roles in our secondary that have bolstered what we have. One of them beating out a returning starter. So our depth is building on defense, and I think our defense is really solid. Our offense had a very good first game. Turned the ball over too much. We need to fix that, but I was really happy to see our offense with the new faces have as many good spurts. We scored our first 2 drives in the first quarter, our first 3 drives in the second in the second half in the third quarter to put it away. But I think I've talked about it every week we've done the show. We're looking for our defense to be strong every week, and so far this season they have.
Well, Coach, before we end this segment, just your final thoughts before we move into our interviews tonight.
Well, we got 3 of them, so there's no highlights. So we've got 3 guests, and I think they're all gonna do a good job, and they've got some good entertaining stories. So I know we'll talk more about Louisiana College specifically in the fourth quarter, There's not much more you can say about a bye week, right? We tried to talk about it for 2 weeks now. So,
Coach, your final thoughts on the bye? No, we've already talked about it. So, well, again, we do have 3 guests tonight. We'll talk to those. Before we break into that second segment, just reminding folks all over that are watching, just please consider our friends down in Southeast Texas today. A lot of flooding going on, so please keep those guys in your thoughts and your prayers, of course, as our friends down there just in a bad situation right now with all that rain. So I did want to mention that. We will step aside, though. Second segment coming up as we start our interview. Stay with us. SU Football Weekly with head coach Joe Austin continues here in just a moment. Well, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with head coach Joe Austin. I'm Rob Hibb. Thanks for joining us. Before we get started, can we give a round of applause to our friends here at the Sheraton? Thank you every week for allowing us to be here in the lobby. It doesn't get any better than the lobby. You walk in and we're right here. And for those of you that may be walking in right now, joined by none other than the senior defensive back, Mr. Hayden Smith. Let's welcome Hayden. Good to have you here tonight, man.
Thank you.
Well, Hayden, a senior from Katy, Texas, out of Tompkins High School. And correct me, because some of these notes sometimes get a little flip, but still majoring in physics, minoring in mathematics. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Awesome. Let me fix this too, man. Sorry about that. There we
That's
go.
all right, thanks.
I wanted to talk to you, and we'll talk about this, but the COSITA Academic All Recognition back in 2017, the Director of Athletics Academic Excellence Award, that 27 through 2019. You've been on the Dean's List the past 4 years, the ASC All-Academic Team in 2018, honorable mention on defense in 2018, and the ASC Defensive Player of the Week, of course, starting last year on week 1. Man, give a round of that. A lot of academic accolades, man.
Thank you.
And I mention it, and I know it may get repetitive, especially with some of the guests and those listing, but we always want to highlight those academics because that's what Southwestern represents, and it's something that's very important to the university. Of course, we want to make sure that you guys get recognized for that. One sister, is that correct? So
yes,
one
sir.
sibling.
Tinsley Smith.
Tinsley Smith. So one older or younger?
Younger.
Younger sister. All right, man.
8 years younger on my exact birthday.
Awesome. When is your birthday?
March 16th.
March 16th. Mark your calendars, March 16th.
Yeah.
That is Hayden's birthday, so we'll make sure to wish you a happy birthday. Well, obviously, you know, it is all the athletes here at Southwestern, but especially to you, academics very important. Can you tell us a little bit about that COSITA award back in 2017? I wanted to talk with that and just, mention a little bit about that award.
Honestly, it was kind of a surprise that I wasn't really expecting that. It's something that academics where I just do what I need to do in the classroom. I kind of make my to-do list and time manage, and it just kind of came as a surprise. Just do what I'm supposed to do, make my parents happy, and that award was nice.
You've also been in some internships. Can you mention a little bit about those internships and what you do with those and how that's helped you as well?
2018 summer, I was a part of Oceaneering Space Systems, where I was an advanced technology and robotics intern, where I was able to do some hands-on robotics experiences and put some things in space. Also, last summer, I was involved in a research experience at Stanford University, where I worked in the Goldbogen lab at Hopkins Marine Station, where I looked at baleen whale swimming kinematics and was actually the first to empirically calculate a lot of those different drag and thrust parameters. And I'm actually going to be published within the year or next few months. So,
man,
it's actually
wow,
really cool.
Absolutely, man. That is unbelievable, man. And you know, when you're saying minor in mathematics, it's all coming out now. So
Yeah.
we know that's awesome, man. I failed geometry twice in high school, so I love my teachers, but it just wasn't my gig, man. So I may need some tutoring from you if those ever come up, man. You know, talk a little bit about growing up in Katy, your high school career. And before we mention that, you know, of course, a lot of friends down in that area. I wanted to ask you, just how's your family doing right now? Because it's been pretty rough with all that rain, man.
Yeah, my family's doing okay, but I know there's some family friends in Houston, Katy area and down south closer to the coast that are actually struggling right now. So I just would appreciate any prayers and looking out for those guys. So thank you very much for that.
You bet, man. Well, growing up in Katy, what was that like going to high school in that area? Talk a little bit about that.
Going to high school in Katy was awesome. The environment, the football environment was amazing. It was a great place to grow up, a great place to raise a family. And being in the same district as Katy High School, it was something that was amazing to be a part of and see that kind of culture. And it's something that I've kind of noticed in Georgetown as well with the culture around the Southwestern Pirates, and it's something that I really appreciate and love. So.
And a lot of, you know, powerhouse schools down in that area in Katy. Talk about some of those other, you know, you guys had some big games, of course, in your high school career. Maybe highlight some of those and what that was like just playing up against some of these powerhouse teams.
Yeah, so at Tompkins High School, I was a part of the first graduating class where we started a new school, and a lot of us transferred from Seven Lakes to Tompkins. So it was actually really neat to be able to play those guys and play all my friends back in the day. So it was like a big rivalry between Seven Lakes and Tompkins, and we actually were victorious my senior year, kind of unexpected. Playing other teams like Stinko Ranch, Maid Creek, and I mean the whole district is a powerhouse really, and it's a good place to grow up and play football, and it's very competitive.
Awesome. Well, hey, you're coming off of a bye week. You know, we don't have a game to talk about last week. What'd you do with your bye week, man?
I went down to Matagorda and I fished at my grandparents' house with one of my good buddies, and caught a lot of fish. I had a great time. It was a good way to recover some bumps and bruises, and I'm thankful for that experience.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you a question. Did you bring any back with you that we can fillet up later?
I did, actually. I brought some fillets back for my trainer, Miguel Benavidez, to thank him for
Awesome.
everything that he's done for me this season. So
Great, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Mr. Benavidez, Dr. Benavidez here, of course, a little bit later on. As we continue to talk here to Hayden Smith, the senior defensive back. You know, you're senior. I always ask the seniors, talk about your leadership role and really how that's now as a senior. Who looks up to you on the team, and a little bit about your leadership, man?
I don't know. I think I just act as the way I'd want to be treated, and I think that a lot of the players look up to the seniors no matter what your role is on the team, just because you are a senior, went through 4 years. Actually, I was blessed enough to be elected team captain this year, so I'm really thankful for that. I'm thankful for my teammates and the respect that they've given me. And leadership is something that I think kind of comes natural to a lot of people, and we're a team full of leaders and a team full of captains, so it's helpful to have that team that can kind of show the way for the younger guys.
Well, you already kind of alleviated. I was going to mention about a team being the team captain this year, which is awesome. Let's give a round of applause for that. We talk about the team captains week in and week out.
Thank you.
So, appreciate your leadership in that. One game in the books now, of course, then the bye week. Man, it seems like it's been forever. You know, it's just like, are we playing football? We're finally playing this Saturday with the home opener.
Right.
Louisiana College opening at home in Birkelbach. Tell us about the first game of the season, though. We will look back, talk a little bit about that first game versus Sewanee, some of your takeaways from that game, and now after the bye week leading versus Louisiana College here at home.
So the first game against Sewanee, I think we all looked really well as a whole team. Special teams, offense, and defense, we looked amazing. Going into the bye week, it was a good time to recover for some bumps and bruises. Like Coach Austin said, we might have wanted it to be later in the season, but that's okay. It was a good time for us to kind of go home, recover, and spend some time with family. And now going into Louisiana College, it's kind of just another way to get ready and get ready to play the game. And play the game we love, walk through the tailgating at the beginning and experience the Southwestern Pirate football culture around the community. And it's something that's going to be really fun, and the whole team's looking forward to it. So I'm excited.
Kind of thinking back to training camp, a little bit about the off season, and now that one game in the books. What have you really noticed about your team as far as the way that you've been impressed, some things that you've been impressed with so far? I know we're only one game in, but looking back to that postseason, the camps, what have you been impressed with, especially after Tennessee, and maybe some takeaways as well?
I'm impressed with the team camaraderie and everything that we're doing together and having a good time as a teammates, and the way that we act and the way that we practice. We're just getting better every single day and trying to look at one game at a time and know that we're going to go into that game and play the best that we can to go out and win. And I'm impressed with the way that we've recovered from bumps and bruises and the way that we've been able to just kind of go along being student athletes in a successful manner.
Well, regarding your play, Hayden, where do you feel that at this point you can improve on?
I can always improve on my tackling. That's something that is something I stress all the time, is tackling, going in practice, making the good angles, making the wrap-ups. And I think covering, just my whole aspect of the game is always going to be something that I can improve on and something I work on every day in practice.
Awesome. Last couple of final questions here. Where do you want to be after college, man? Seniors here. The way you were talking earlier, sounds like there's some pretty awesome things coming your way, man.
There's a couple of job opportunities I think I've been fortunate enough to maybe have an opportunity to get. I'm also applying for some other ones and then looking at grad school to pursue ocean or mechanical engineering. So there's a few things that I'm trying to decide what I would like to do right now.
Any interest in the space aeronautics? You talked about that a little bit with the internship. My ears perk up when I hear things about space. That's why I was asking. Yeah,
it's something that I'm definitely interested in, and something where maybe one of those job opportunities is going to line up for me. It's going to be really neat, and I'm excited to kind of see where my future takes me. So
awesome, man.
Thank you.
Finally, camera right there in front of us. Who do you want to send a shout out to tonight here from Georgetown, man?
I'd like to say hi to my family, my teammates, my girlfriend, my sister, and everyone in Katy, my family and friends in Houston that are affected by this rain right now. I pray for y'all and hope that everything works out.
Awesome. One more time, let's give it up. Another great young man here, Hayden Smith. Thank you, sir, for being here
Thank
tonight.
you.
We'll step aside. We'll have 2 more interviews. Stay with us. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues here on SHN Sports. Well, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin, as we are now joined by Jared Wiggins, a senior offensive lineman. Let's give it up for Jared. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, thank you.
I was talking to Jared earlier before we get started. I told him I was going to say this. I was just trying to remember. Sometimes I struggle with names, and I told Jared, I said, don't get mad at me. And he goes, don't worry, just remember the jewelry store, Jared. And so, so you've got the gold necklace on. So now we're not promoting Jared. We're just saying we're promoting this Jared. So good to have you here tonight, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll appreciate it. A senior from Crosby, Texas, Baytown Christian Academy, if I'm not mistaken, where you went to school, man. Majoring, is your major still correct, political science?
Yes, sir, it is, political science.
And minoring in communication studies. Awesome, man. Member of Pi Delta. I can't ever say that, man. You guys I gotta have a button up here. Pi Delta Theta. That for some reason. You say it.
Phi Delta Theta Texas Gamma. And shout out to my boys right down the road.
There we go, man. Shout them out right back there. Dude, I gotta fix that. For some reason, it's just like every week, and you guys, we'll get it corrected. Don't worry, man. On the SCAC Academic Honor Roll in 2016, ASC All Academic Team in 2017. You as well on the Dean's List 2017, 18, and 19. You also were the Director of Athletics Academic Excellence Award in 2018 and 19. Another round of applause for what you've done in the books, man. I think that is awesome. One sibling as well, man.
Yeah, just got one sister.
One sister. So it's like the brothers and the sisters today. It's just one sister, older or younger?
She's younger than me, but she's about as tall as me. So
How tall are you, man?
about 6'2", 6'3" with boots on. So
okay, there you go. Little boot scooting boogie.
Oh,
over
hey,
here.
what
Come
can I
on,
say?
man.
It's Texas.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, and before we get started, I know down in that area too. Just wanted to check with you. Your family doing okay? I know down in that area right now.
Yeah, my mom and dad, they've been sending me pictures like all day. Everything's going well, but the water is it's getting pretty high down there. So any thoughts and prayers would be much appreciated for that area.
You bet, man. Well, you grew up in Crosby, going to Baytown Christian Academy. Talk a little bit about your hometown there in Crosby and what it was like to play in high school.
Oh, yeah. That's something whenever I come here to Southwestern every year, that's one thing I always get asked about is Crosby, Texas. That's what everybody on the team says. But it's a nice little small town on the east side of Houston. It was great growing up there. I went to high school in Baytown, at Baytown Christian Academy. And something a lot of people don't know, I did not play 11-man in high school. I actually played 6-man football. Was one of the biggest men in 6-man because there's not very many of them. But, it was great. I really got that, kind of small town feel and, being able to play a different version of football, if you will, that really readied me, for this offense, I feel like, too. So it was a real great experience.
Jared, kind of expand a little bit on 6-man. It's something here really in the state of Texas. It's starting to get a lot of recognition. You're playing on both sides of the ball in many cases, of course. Talk a little bit more just about the physical toughness and the mental toughness that you have to have when you play 6-man football.
Yeah, that was a real big challenge for me. And again, growing up, that was all I played. And there's not much difference, between 6 and 11-man except the first downs. It's 15 yards, and the field's just a little bit shorter. But in that regard that it's shorter, we do a lot more running. And as an offensive lineman, especially for me, I would be the only lineman at times because you can spread it out, have 2 receivers and just a center. And, I would find myself often running 40, 50 yards down the field sometimes for my running back. It was real fun on Friday nights, but waking up Saturday morning, I felt like I got hit by a train because I had to play both ways. I had to play on all special teams, of course, not kickoff and kick return, but I did it all, and I really feel like that prepared me to to do well at Southwestern. So
awesome. Well, just as I asked moments ago, Hayden, what'd you do with the bye week, man? Any fishing in your repertoire this past week?
I could have. Me and some of my buddies, we went out to my river house in Concan, Texas, and we just kind of hung out, grilled out in the river, and watched a lot of college football. So it was nice.
Concan, that's on the Frio, man.
It is, yeah. That's Frio. Yep, that's one of my favorite places to go.
Awesome, man. Well, cool, man. I've been down to Concan several
Oh, yeah.
times. Beautiful area. Well, as we continue to talk to Jared Williams here, the senior offensive lineman, you're a senior now. What's your journey been like? You've seen a lot of great things here over the years at Southwestern. Talk about your journey now as a senior, man.
Yeah, so it's starting out as offensive lineman. A lot of people we don't get a lot of recognition, but my freshman year I earned my stripes on a scout team, and then worked my way up in the ranks my sophomore year, and then finally got that starting role my junior year. But a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication it takes to be on the O line and block for my running backs and my quarterbacks. But it's been a real good experience, and I've enjoyed every bit of it.
You mentioned something that's so important because in a football, and especially as a broadcaster, I always try to highlight as many of the athletes as I can on the team. You always hear the quarterback name. You always hear the running backs. You hear the receivers. You hear the tight end. But you guys up front are the ones that create a lot of that momentum. You create the holes. You create areas for your running backs to run. You give protection to your quarterback. Expand a little bit more just about how important that offensive line role is. And take a moment, too, to highlight some of your buddies out there, man, because I like to give them recognition. You don't hear about them a lot, man.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, our offensive line, of course, it's integral to our offense. We run the triple option. A lot of what we do, we have a guard pulling almost every single play or a tackle pulling. It's a lot of moving parts, and it's always up to us. But we got a good starting 5 front. We got me on the left side and James Hill left guard. We got Weebs. He's from Nebraska. He'll be the first one to tell you that. And then we got T. He always holds it down. And then we got Big X. One of the biggest men, I would say, in the ASC, and I feel sorry for any defensive end that's got to go up against him.
Maybe we'll see that coming up on Saturday, man.
Oh, no, you definitely will. You definitely will.
Smackdown coming up here on Saturday, the home opener.
Yeah.
As a senior now and being on that offensive line, talk about your leadership role. Who looks up to you on the team, and what's that journey been like for you, man?
Yeah, going into practice and workouts, really anything, I try my best, to be someone to look up to, and that's not just me, telling them, what to do. It's me being, a good young man that I'm supposed to be. But I really, try to help the young offensive linemen, because I know that transition from high school to coming into college. You're 18 years old. I mean, peach fuzz on your face. You're coming in. It's a big world out here. And I try my best. Help them out as best as I can. Using the knowledge that I have. So.
Peach fuzz on the face, dude. I didn't start growing mine until I think 25, so it's a little bit of patching. Yours is filling out all right, though. You and Hayden, have the facial hair going on.
Yeah, I had to shave like twice a week in high school. It was bad.
Awesome, man. Well, just a few more questions here.
Yeah.
We want to go back. Of course, the bye week last week. Tennessee, that first game. Again, it just seems like it's been so long since we played football, and finally back in action here. Highlight that game for us and some of the moments that you really liked, and maybe some takeaways that you saw from that game versus Tennessee.
Yeah, versus
Sewanee.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, kind of to echo what Coach Austin already said. I was happy with our overall performance, but I was not happy with our turnovers. And again, I can speak for the offensive line. We missed some of our assignments, and we're going to look to clean that up coming up to Louisiana College. But overall, it was a good game. We put up a lot of points, and that's what our offense really tries to do. It's what any offense tries to do, but especially ours, because we're a ground and pound, run at you real fast kind of offense. So.
Jared, what are you most excited about this season? I know we're just getting started, but if I could ask you that one question, what would you say that you're most excited about this season?
I'm just real excited, kind of two parts. One part, we've got my senior class. We've got about 14, 15 guys that we've been at it since, we were freshmen. But I'm also excited to see, how this freshman class comes in and everyone, all the underclassmen, how we kind of just come together, when it comes to conference play, because it's make or break when it comes to conference time. And, it's right around the corner. So.
Well, of course, Louisiana College, the home opener, going to be a packed house over at Birkelbach or GISD or Birkelbach.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several names. You can call it whatever you want.
We know
where it is. But the preparation, Louisiana College, talk about that. What has that preparation been like going into this game?
Well, it's a lot of kind of what we did last year. We had some game plan mistakes. We took in a lot what we had from film last year, and we kind of transitioned it. And this past 2 weeks we've really been working hard on our game plan, and especially working hard on our assignments. Because the coaches prepare the best game plan for us, but as Coach Austin always tells us, it's going to come down to how we run our offense, and if we can run it better than they can play defense, then we'll be just fine.
We talked about on the first week being a Southwestern man. We talked about that. I want to ask you, what does it mean to you to be a Southwestern University Pirate?
To me, it sounds so cliche, but I would say it's everything. It's more than just football, and everything like that. It's everything that we do. So, on and off the field, academics, of course, internships, being out in the community. It's representing our school as best as we can, while also growing up to be, a good man in society. Once we graduate, because you can't play football forever. So you might as well work on it while you're in college too. So.
Well, as we just have a final few questions here for Jared, going through that journey. Senior, you've seen some things here in Georgetown. Talk about how much the community involvement means to you as a player, because over the years there's been more and more and more support. You'll hear it in a minute just through the sponsors, how many folks support your guys. How important is that to you, and what has that meant to you being at Southwestern?
Yeah, the community is really everything. That's one of the things that I look for when I actually came to this school was, how is the community, how are people around Southwestern going to be involved, and it's just so awesome to be walking in the grocery store. Like I was in HEB like 2 weeks ago, and someone came up to me and said, how's the game going to be? How are we looking on Saturday? And just to have people around the community really rooting for you. It can be an older person or a younger person. It's just great to have community involvement all around, which is everything. So.
One thing that excites me, you growing up here, you drive into town, you see the Southwestern logo on the water tower, man.
Oh yeah,
that still has a little. That still kind of brings that small town sense. So it's pretty neat to see that. Yeah. Final couple of questions. Where do you want to be after college, man? What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I've got a lot going on. I keep myself busy. I've had quite a few internships. I've been in D.C. this past semester. Worked for Ted Cruz and for the summer, and upon graduation, I'm looking forward to go to law school in the spring. And the sky's the limit, but I'm wanting to get into oil and gas law upon graduation from law school, and then becoming a prominent lawyer, and then one day maybe taking Ted Cruz's spot. Who knows?
Come on, man! All right.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Awesome. Well, I'll give you a round of applause for that,
man.
Thank you so much. We just love hearing these stories and you guys and seeing the progress and where you've came and the thought processes from you're a freshman to a senior and just sticking on that path. It's something that we're all happy and proud of all of you guys about. Of course, camera right there on you, straight ahead. Who do you want to say hello to? A little shout out tonight from Georgetown, Texas.
Oh, yeah. Of course, shout out to my mama, my dad, my sister. And, of course, my dog. I miss you, Cash, man. I know he can't hear me. But of course, I got to do one more shout-out for the O-line. I know they're going to miss me because I got Whataburger right after this. But shout-out to James, Weaves, T, and Big X, and the rest of the big bodies. We'll be coming soon. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Hey, real quick, it sounds like a country song, talking about your dog, talking about Whataburger. We'll get together and write a song. Man.
Hey, let's do it. I'm down for it.
Let's give it up one more time here.
Thank you so much.
For Southwestern offensive lineman, Mr. Jared Wiggins.
Yeah,
we'll step aside, take a quick break. We will talk to the trainer, Dr. Miguel Benavidez, in just a few moments. Stay with us. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues on SHN Sports. Well, welcome back as we have a special guest here tonight from Southwestern University. Please join me in welcoming the trainer, Dr. Miguel Benavidez. Let's give a round of applause for Doctor. Do you have a nickname, by the way, Doctor? Can we call you Dr. Benavidez?
Oh, a lot of the athletes call me Doc or Miguel, or it's fine. They can call me either or Mr. Miguel or all kinds of things.
Doc, I like Doc because it's easy to remember, you know. So I was on a plane trip last week and I could not remember the trainer's name. And he goes, Rob, and he put his hand, he goes, just call me Doc and let's just make it easy. So we'll call you Doc, Dr. Benavidez. Appreciate you. You've been at Southwestern, the university. So lucky to have you. 27 years, if I'm not mistaken. That is awesome. Can we please give a round of applause for that? That just shows not only Dr. Benavidez's commitment, but just how much this university means to you. And I'll ask you about that here in a little bit. But what led you 27 years ago to Southwestern University? Talk about that journey.
So I was the first athletic trainer at Southwestern, and they were looking for somebody to teach athletic training courses and to maybe start a program and have student athletic trainers. And which was really coincidental because I left a job where I had minimal hours and I took a job where I was working a lot of hours and teaching a lot of classes so I could, be prepared to do that. And so this job came in front of me and it was a good opportunity.
I have to ask you because when you talk about 27 years, it seems like such a long, joyful time. What has that been like to you, and how quick has that been, or maybe it's been slow? How has that 27 years been to you? And it just has to be amazing.
It really has been quick. But when you're having fun, things go by pretty quick, and I'm very fortunate to be at Southwestern. I've worn a lot of hats, but this is probably the most fun I've had since I've been at Southwestern.
Well, kind of leading into that, what have been some of the highlights of your career? We've seen the football program, of course, rejuvenated. Talk about maybe that and some of the highlights that you've had here over those 27 years.
Well, I got a program started where we had student athletic trainers, and then we had an athletic training program, and I got that program accredited. And there was a while where I was mainly teaching, and then that program went away, and Dr. Munt was very gracious to offer me a job back in athletics, and I haven't looked back. It's been the most fun I've had in my 27 years.
Well, the football program, of course, reinstated, and Coach Austin, by all means, has to be your favorite Southwestern football coach for sure, right?
Yeah.
So talk about the football program. Of course, the only coach that we've had since the rejuvenation. And for those of you that are wondering why I asked that, what has that been like, seeing this football program restarted and just how it's really helped bring a sense of community back to the university in Georgetown?
Well, when it first started, Kurt, our head athletic trainer, took football, and I did everything I could to help him every chance I got, and then I got the opportunity to do it. And I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed to work with Coach Austin, and this is probably the best group of coaches I've ever worked with. They work well together. We have fun. They respect me. I respect them. And Coach Austin is really just easy to work with. And we've gotten to the point where I don't even have to ask for anything. I just drop a hint and he does it. And so it's a good situation.
Awesome. Well, as we continue to talk to Dr. Miguel Benavidez, not just football, you wear many hats, swimming, and then you were telling me earlier your first time as a trainer for women's lacrosse. Talk about some of those other sports and really how you prepare for those and help those students out as well.
So I've done every sport that we offer except for women's lacrosse, so I'm excited for a new challenge to work with that sport. I've done men's lacrosse, and that was a lot of fun, and looking forward to working with women lacrosse and a new coach. And I do swimming, and of course our swimming program is very competitive, and those athletes are just so tough and they work so hard, and the men won conference last year and the women were knocking on the door, and they're just great athletes, and the coaches are awesome. I'm just having fun.
Awesome. Well, as we continue to talk to Dr. Benavidez, just a few final questions here. You may have touched on some of this already, but maybe circling back, how much has this university meant to you?
Well, Southwestern gave me an opportunity 27 years ago to take a job in college. I didn't have any college experience. I was a high school athletic trainer, and I've grown a lot. And I tell you, probably I'm very fortunate to have a staff or to have colleagues in the athletic training program that are really excellent athletic trainers. And the university really is gracious to let us go and take courses to, further our skills and to become better athletic trainers. And that really has made a big difference, I think, in our program. I have some really good colleagues.
Well, it's not every day we get to talk, to the training, and you see the coaches, you see the players. There's a lot that goes in before these games, and I wanted to ask you, how do you just really get these student athletes ready for games? It's a big process. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, of course.
There's a lot of moving parts to put on a football game, and to get a football season going is just unbelievable. I was talking to our new equipment manager, Kingsley, and it's just all these things that have to happen for a game to happen on a Saturday. And what I try to do is I just try to keep it positive. I try to be positive, give positive energy to my athletes. And sometimes they come in and they may have had a bad day, and then I try to focus on the positive things that are going on in their life, and we just all work together to make it happen.
We've seen so many things in football, especially with safety in those regards. Of course, athletes with concussions and just really how important it is to promote safety. What are some of the changes that you've seen in these 27 years, especially here at the collegiate level, that really helps to benefit our student athletes' safety?
Oh, gosh, a lot of things. I don't have to convince a coach to get off a field when there's lightning. It just happens. Concussions, kids are more aware, and I can pull a kid off and return them safely. I used to have to convince people to do that, and it's just people are more aware and are more educated, I think, and just don't want to take risk.
Yes, sir. Well, final couple of questions here. The one that I wanted to ask you is we talk to the students all the time, and I give them an opportunity, kind of their last thoughts, some last thoughts from you.
Well, I want to say thank you to my wife, Elma, for letting me do this job, because
let's give it up for you. There you go.
Because it's a sacrifice on her part, and she holds down the fort at home when I'm gone, and she lets me do it, and I appreciate that. And then I want to say hello to all my kids, and Casey and Armin and Grayson and Julian and Wilson, who's at home. And then obviously I thank the university for letting us become really good clinicians, and say thank you to Kurt, our head athletic trainer. I always kid with him is, not many people get to pick their boss, and I felt like I groomed him to be my boss, and so you don't get to do that very often. And so yeah, those are some of the things that are important.
Well, with the rising cost of healthcare and stuff, I'm going to get to know you guys really well, so I can just call you up if I need help with something. Is that okay, Doctor?
We do that all the time.
Appreciate it. Well, let's give it up. One more round of applause for Dr. Miguel Benavidez. Does such great work. Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate you being here. We'll step aside and take a break as we look ahead to Louisiana College and more. First, we will go over our sponsors and also Southwestern University recap. Stay with us. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues right here on SHN Sports. Welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin, live from the Sheraton. Thank you, Sheraton, again. I like to clap all the time, keep everybody moving. How's the food tonight, guys? Food tonight, great? All right. We've heard everybody talking about Whataburger, but there's so much good food right in front of us, so make sure that you get something to eat tonight. I want to go back and look at just a few things going on at Southwestern University. The Pirates tennis teams getting set to start this weekend. The women's tennis Pirates will compete in the ITA Regional, hosted in Abilene. That'll take place from September 20th to the 22nd. The women's team has excelled, and if I'm not mistaken, being ranked number 2 in the state for almost the last half decade, they've always got their number out for them. Let's give it up for the tennis team. Good luck coming up in that. Man, women's soccer. We got to talk about women's soccer. A 3-0 win over Huston-Tillotson. Up next, the Pirates hosting 2 home games against Johnson and the Wells Wildcats on Friday, September the 20th. That at 6 p.m. And then against McMurray Warhawks on Sunday. That game at 2 p.m. The women's soccer team, friends, remains undefeated, 6-0. Congratulations. What a start for Southwestern Pirate women's soccer. As we look also, Southwestern women's soccer first-year defender Carly Holmes named the SCAC Defensive Player of the Week for her performances through Sunday, September the 15th. Congratulations. One more round of applause for Carly. Keep that up. Men's soccer, 3-1-1 overall this season, riding a 3-game winning streak. So the men's getting on the winning ways as well. They head into their matchup Friday versus JWU. Of course, Denver Southwestern University Pirates men's soccer goalie Jackson Kruger was named the SCAC Defensive Player of the Week for Week 3 for his performance against TLU. So both the women's and the men's soccer getting some honors. Congratulations to you guys. Keep up the great work. Of course, for more information, you can go online, more information for all the athletics and information going on around Southwestern. Of course, visit southwesternpirates.com. Want to quickly thank our sponsors for being here tonight. One of them I'll get to in a minute. I was scared that he wasn't here, and he showed up, so thankfully. We want to thank Gary Brown, CPA, John F. Lewis, CPA, State Farm, Stephanie Featherstone, BBVA Compass, First Texas Bank, our bank, Texel Credit Union, Don Hewlett Chevrolet Buick, Antioch, Georgetown Church, Groove Line Productions, Boomtown Escapes, Primerica Financial Solutions, Upstream Investment Partners, Stansky's, Georgetown Shirt Company, HEB, Family Emergency Room, St. David's Georgetown, Eagles Wings, of course our friends here at the Sheraton, Georgetown Hotel and Conference Center, Georgetown Palace Theater, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, Minuteman Press and Waterboy Graphics, Berkshire Hathaway. Roger Chappell is in the house. Thank you, Roger. Man, we talked last week, 28 and now 29, and I got really scared, Roger, so thank you for being here. We got to keep the streak going, man. Georgetown Commercial Properties, Turnip Seed Real Estate Group, Chick-fil-A, Double Dave's Pizza, Mama Foo's, Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Monument Cafe, Rudy, Schloshke's Whataburger, CJ's Catering, CJ Sports Bar, Wolf Ranch, Georgetown Title, Hello Georgetown, Website Mojo, and also, of course, the city of Georgetown. Let's thank those sponsors one more time, a lot of them. And, I mean, when I go through these, I just want to show this on the camera. It's hard to see that, but just to give you an idea, these are all the folks that make so many wonderful things happen here with, of course, what we do, but also the university. So thanks again. We'll step aside as we look ahead to Louisiana College. Coach Joe Austin will join us back up at the table in just a few moments. This is SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. We'll be right back here on SHN Sports. Welcome back to the fourth and final segment, SU Football Weekly with head coach Joe Austin. Let's welcome back Coach Austin. Thanks again, Coach, for your accessibility, for always being here with us. And your name's on the show, so you've got to be here, Coach. We appreciate it. Southwestern facing Louisiana College to open conference play here already this season. The first home game of the season. Louisiana College started the season on a 58-13 road loss to a Division I school, Stetson University. They recovered, though, last week 20-14 with a road win over Belhaven. 3 touchdowns in that game, 325 yards passing for their quarterback. Coach, before we look into Louisiana College, it's a home game. It's a home opener. What makes those home games so special, Coach?
Well, I think we've been able to create a really good connection between our football program and the school in general with Georgetown. It's not just football, but I think we've worked hard to really reach out and to build our corporate partnerships and to build our ticket sales and the Kiwanis and and anybody that like the Rotary and I'm not gonna start naming them because I'll forget somebody and they'll get mad at me. But anytime we can go out into the community and our players can be out there, for example, there's 15 offensive linemen at Whataburger right down the street right now, and they're all behaving well and they're all wearing Southwestern gear and they're being great ambassadors. So I just think we've been able to build a pretty good relationship. We want to continue to grow that. There's still folks, as Georgetown grows, there's people that have moved here that don't know there's a college football team in town yet. And so we're still trying to do those things and promote the team the best way we can. But we've built a really loyal group. I mean, just look at this group. We've had 40 people here, all 3 shows, 49 the first week and about 40 again tonight. And it's a lot of the same faces, and they do a great job promoting us. So it's a tight-knit group, and we're always trying to add to that group. So it's really fun. I think you hear when Hayden was talking as a senior, he appreciates the home games, and he appreciates that we have our walk through the tailgate that is our tradition. Those guys, they see it grow and they see the same faces. And I think that the guys, as they get older and mature, they start to appreciate it, and they get to their senior year. And the seniors always tell me, people before me say it's going to go by fast. Make sure you enjoy it. And of course, they're young enough that they don't listen to anybody, right? And then they get to be seniors themselves. They're like, wow, I better appreciate it this time. So the seniors look around and they shake more hands and they nod their head more and just be more appreciative of the connections. But that's what makes home games special, I think, is you get to see groups of seniors now come through that really appreciate the program and appreciate the city, and the city appreciates us, and we're just trying to build that relationship.
Well, Coach, that was the final question. I'm going to get to Whataburger. Thanks for joining. No, just kidding, Coach. We've been talking food.
Well, you know what? We are going to, I should know the date, but Whataburger is sponsoring a Southwestern football night
Awesome.
It's a Thursday in November, so we will be leaving here and going to Whataburger one night in November. I wasn't going to plug that yet, but since you mentioned it, we'll get the dates and we'll get it out on social media, remind folks on the show so our folks in Georgetown can go, and a portion of the proceeds of all the sales at Whataburger that day goes directly to the program. It's something they offered us as a part of their corporate partnership, and we're very appreciative of that.
That is awesome. We certainly appreciate it. Well, the third meeting all time between Louisiana College and Southwestern, 1-1 is the current record. Of course, that first year back in 2017, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, defeated Southwestern 21-19 in Georgetown. That was last year. And then the first year back then, of course, Southwestern taking care of business. So 1-1 all time. Both teams finished the conference at 5-4 last year. This is a tough team, Coach. Louisiana College, we can't count them out.
No, they're a tough team. They're very physical. They're very athletic. They have some favorable admissions ability to get athletes in. They get junior college transfers. They get four-year transfers. They get Division I drop-downs. A lot of folks remember their Florida State transfer last year at wide receiver that kind of won the game by himself in a lot of regards. So they're very difficult. They're right outside of that elite top 10 group in our conference, but they're very good year in and year out. They're coached very well, and we're going to have our hands full. Their defensive line is as tough as anyone that will play. They're about as wide as they are tall, and you can't move them. But we have our own set of 320-pound guys on the front line this year, so hopefully that will be a good matchup. But they're very athletic on the outside. I'm sure to ask me for some details in a minute, but that's the overall scouting report. Is that they're a tough team. We beat them by 3. They beat us by 2. So we're expecting that they're going to give us a really good challenge.
Well, they have a tough quarterback in Landon Ladon. Had a great game versus Belhaven last week. Those 3 touchdowns, 325 yards. How do you contain him? That's going to be a tough task against a good quarterback.
Well, in all fairness to him, it's about the receivers he's throwing to. I mean, he's got some really good players to get it to. And now we get into the conference season, you're going to hear me talk about that a lot. The caliber of the offensive wide receivers that we're going to go up against is very good. Probably 60% of their touchdowns are on deep balls down the sideline. And last week was no different. They scored 3 touchdowns on deep balls down the sideline. Against us last year, they scored 3 touchdowns. They were all on deep balls down the sideline. So the quarterback has to get it there, but it's not very difficult sometimes to drop back and throw it to a really big, tall guy from Florida State. Sometimes you can get that done. Now, the Florida State guy is not on their team anymore. In fact, he got kicked off the team the week after he played us. Of course, he couldn't have waited a week. But they still have plenty of other good football players and transfer players. But that's a big part of their offense. And a big part of their pass game is throwing the ball deep down the sideline and creating 50, 60, 70-yard plays and long touchdowns.
Coach, looking at their scouting report, you mentioned the defense earlier, kind of a difficult defense to contain because there's a lot of uncertainty about what they do. And from what I was reading in the scouting report, they change up their defense frequently, especially versus Southwestern. Mention a little bit about their defense.
Well, they've had the same coaches, same coordinators. So when you watch their film, you can see their system. You know kind of what their base is, but they tailor it from week to week. And what they do against us is very different. Now, that's not something that we're unaccustomed to. Most teams change for us. In fact, Sewanee changed for us totally what they did the year before. I don't know if that was a one-game thing. We get a lot of one-game defenses, and some people, if it's early in the year, will change their whole system. So we don't really know exactly what we're going to see, but that's not a new thing for us. The challenge for us is we don't know what we're going to see with a whole lot of new players. And so that's where it may be difficult for us. If we were like our defense with 10 returning starters, it'd be, line up however you want. We're going to know our angles. We're going to know our schemes really well. We're going to go and block you. I don't want our guys to be in a situation where they're playing hesitant because of uncertainty.
You probably mentioned some of these already, Coach. Always like to ask, though, just kind of summing up keys to victory.
Well, our defense needs to play, and they've been practicing fantastic. They're very healthy as opposed to our offense, so we're pretty much all hands on deck for defense. And I think that is going to set the tone for us. They're going to get the ball back for our offense and give us enough opportunities to score, which I think we will. But hopefully they give us some shorter fields and some 50, 60-yard fields instead of some 80 and 90-yard fields. But we're just really confident in our defense, and we're going to build around our defense. And we've got to take away their long passing game, and they really only run one type of run play. They run a zone type of play. Last year they only netted 7 yards rushing. I think we can probably have some similar success this year, but we have to take away the long touchdown passes down the sideline.
Kind of going back to Tennessee, and I just wanted to bring this up because a lot of folks may not realize, of course, here in this room and those associated with the university will know, but in the high school level, you can scrimmage. You can play other teams in the training camps, but in college you can't do that. So really your first game that you play, that non-conference game, that's your one chance to really get out there and see these guys compete before you go into conference play. How important is that first game to kind of get that over with? And then the second part of that question is, do you wish you had more non-conference games to work through?
In our division, we do get one preseason scrimmage. It's not a game. You can't keep score. But we did go have a combined scrimmage with Texas Wesleyan, and there was a lot of weather, so we only got to play roughly 2 quarters of it, about 30 minutes. So we got to see some of the things you wanted to see, not everything. For us, it would be great to have more non-conference games. In one hand, in that as a conference, we have 10 teams, so 9 conference games. For 9 weeks, your strength of schedule is 500 because, right, if someone wins or loses. So we only have 1 week to go out of conference to bolster, how we look relative to other conferences. And I mentioned that last week, why our one non-conference game is so important to our conference. So when you look from a national perspective, it would be good for our conference either to get big and play divisionally and give us a few more non-conference games, or, it wouldn't bother me if we cut off the 2 furthest east and west games for travel. Not that I like those coaches and all, but you just asked me the question. So if we could, but an all Texas Division III conference would be awesome. For example, we could bring in 2 more. It'll never happen, but just thinking theoretically. But to answer your question, it would be good in a lot of respects. But the strength of our conference is also excellent. And when Southwestern was moving from the SCAC, this is where I wanted to be. It's not up to the head coach, but it was great that our administration, all the way up through the board of trustees and the presidential level, wanted to be with us also. So the conference is great, but it's a mixed bag. In some respects, it'd be good to have more non-conference games, and some it's great that we have a really rigorous 9-game conference schedule.
Coach, before we wrap up, final thoughts as we head here at home opener, Louisiana College.
Well, I think we hit on some of the main themes. We're definitely not full strength at offense. We'll be missing at least 3 starters. And I always say, since you're not supposed to bet on Division III football, I don't have to tell you who they are and if they're probable or doubtful or what they may be. But we're not going to be full strength, and we're a little bit young there, and that's not making any excuses. It just highlights the fact that we're going to rely on our veteran defense and all the seniors that we have there and the returning starters on defense. And if our defense can play well, I think it'll feed into our special teams. I think it'll feed into our offense, and we'll have a pretty good shot on Saturday.
We're looking forward to the game on Saturday. Of course, get out to Birkelbach. Come out, support the Southwestern Pirates. So we have seen so many folks at these games, Coach. It's so wonderful to see just a sea of Pirates out there on the home field side. And so looking forward to that home opener. Again, come out. You don't have anything else to – if you're watching this right, you don't have anything else to do Saturday. So come out, support Southwestern. I'm just going to say it, throw it out there. Cancel all your plans. Come support Southwestern to start things here on Saturday. Of course, so many folks here at Southwestern making things happen. Dr. Glademont, we appreciate you. Glenn Schwab there in the back. And then I wanted to also mention Elma Benavidez, the HR director. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate you being here tonight. So thank you for that. We're looking forward to that game coming up Saturday. Be here. It's going to be a fun one, friends. As always, you can catch that action at SHNsports.com/SU. As I end every broadcast tonight, reminding you we're not strong enough alone to make it our own, especially with the things going on in Southeast Texas. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there needs you tonight. One final time, thank you to the Sheraton. Appreciate you guys. Thank you to everybody here tonight as well. And Roger will make it the Big 30 next week, so we may have a cake for Roger. We'll see. Until next time, I'm Rob Hipp for Coach Austin and all of us here at SHN, Nathan Height, Mickey Holden. Good night. God bless here from Georgetown, Texas. We'll see you next week, friends.
Hi, Mom.